Hi, hello, and welcome again, everyone, to another episode of Natural Juan. As you can probably guess, this video will not follow the usual format of my other lore-related works. This will mark the beginning of my Legionary Podcast, which I have been planning for a very long time now. If it isn't obvious yet, this audio narration series is heavily inspired by Games Workshop's Warhammer 40,000, in much the same way that Audio Epic's Witch Hunter series, which I am also a fan of, was inspired by Warhammer Fantasy. Anyway, before we begin officially, I'd like to give a special shout out to Mr. Jonathan Green, my patron in Patreon, who supported me through most of my career as a content creator here on YouTube. Also, if you would like to support my channel and what I do here, you can check out my Patreon, PayPal, and Gcash information in the description below. Alright, with the intro out of the way, let us all get ready to travel to a distant galaxy somewhere far away in the future. The Age of Sin. According to ancient apocrypha, before the mustering of the first legions, before the formation of the planetary union of humanity, and before the exodus of humankind to the Paradiso galaxy, humans once lived in a galaxy vaguely remembered as the Milky Way. It was said that humans arose on a distant, small planet called Earth in that faraway galaxy, and from there, humanity grew to become a vast and powerful empire that encompassed the entirety of the Milky Way. Unfortunately, while humans did indeed develop extremely advanced technology and managed to conquer much of their home galaxy, so did their arrogance and selfishness had grown to a point that they became truly and irredeemably evil. This period of ancient history is known as the Age of Sin, as it was during this time that humanity began to lose its sense of morality, becoming a species of lazy, gluttonous, lustful, and cruel creatures. There were many societal ills that have been resolved. Fabricated food was plentiful everywhere. People could rely on robots or clones to do menial work, and most, if not all diseases, had been wiped out by extremely advanced medical technologies. There were human technologies that could even alter the orbits of planets and stars, and in some cases even destroy them in order to collect the energy that could be found within them. Unfortunately, this also led to most humans becoming weak and wicked. It was in this time of relative peace and prosperity that man forgot many of the hard-won values it had learned over the millennia. Gone were the lessons of kindness and patience that led humanity to unite as a unified force and befriend the many alien species of the Milky Way. Dead was humanity's sense of humility and commitment that led them to great heights of progress and wealth. Humanity eventually became corrupt and arrogant, leading it to believe in its own superiority over the other species of the galaxy, and leading it to commit atrocity after atrocity against them. While it started off small, usually among bored socialites, things like rape, torture, and murder rapidly became a fad for a lot of people. The death of billions, often the poor and needy, became entertainment for the rich and powerful. The destitute too became more and more inhuman in their actions, selling out one another for easy money, sometimes even betraying their own family members for selfish desires. It soon became apparent that humanity was becoming more and more irrevocably evil, and there was very little innocent people could do about it. The Twilight Era. All the sin, evil, and cruelty of humankind eventually led to what is known as the Twilight Era, which is also sometimes called the Devouring Apocalypse, or the Hour of Devils, when everything it struggled to build were lost and its own creations turned against it. Once benevolent androids and clones turned against their masters after suffering too much cruelty, leading to bloody rebellions, and the end ceasing much of industry and culture. Worlds and cultures that were once staunch allies turned against one another due to scarce resources as industries began to fall apart and many struggled to live just from day to day. Humans slew one another in gruesome civil wars in a bid for survival, and were especially worse for worlds that lacked any form of agriculture, as people often resorted to cannibalism in these worlds just to avoid starvation. And as if that wasn't enough, entities from another dimension began invading the Milky Way in large numbers. By then, humanity had forgotten much of the old religions, but the beings who began besieging, slaughtering, defiling, and devouring every living being they came across could only be called demons and ghosts, as per their description in more ancient texts and scriptures that predated human spaceflight. These monstrous creatures showed neither mercy nor remorse to their countless victims, and while many humans fought back, along with many non-human species across the galaxy, they were all doomed to defeat and destruction. It wasn't long before the demons and ghosts brought low all that stood against them, and many had come to believe that they would either enslave or exterminate all living beings across the galaxy. By then, many had lost hope, and only waited for their inevitable destruction, which often came at great pain. However, it was also then that the Wayfinder first appeared and spearheaded the exodus to the Paradiso Galaxy. The Exodus. What follows the Twilight Era is the Wayfinder's attempts at gathering all those she could in a bid to escape the Milky Way Galaxy and the evils that now infested it. During that time, much of humanity had already lost their minds, bodies, and souls to the hedonism, the rebellious creations of mankind, or the demons and undead that now dominated the galaxy. However, the Wayfinder was successful in finding small pockets of humanity who managed to live virtuous lives and thus escape and evade the fate that befell most of mankind. The Wayfinder also found androids and clones who, while they detested the idea of ever working for humans again, were willing to follow the Wayfinder to safety for the sake of survival. There had also been non-human civilizations such as the microscopic Alzics, the planet-sized Organ, and the telekinetic trees known as Ithic, who chose to join the Wayfinder's fleet to flee to what they hoped was a better place. It was not known how she had done it save for the fact that she had been gifted, a word used by philosophers and scholars to describe beings who are blessed with psychic power. But the Wayfinder was able to shield those who followed her from the extra-dimensional horrors that infested the Milky Way, while her many followers, both human and not, protected her and their ragtag fleet with whatever weapons they had at hand. This would form the basis of militaries and armed forces that would rise to power in the Paradiso. Wouldn't occur until thousands of years later, after what must have felt like generations of hiding, moving stealthily, and gathering other willing companions from across the stars. The Wayfinder was able to locate a wormhole to another galaxy. The enemies that pursued the Wayfinder's fleet were innumerable and were hot on their heels, but in the end, were unable to follow them into the other galaxy as the wormhole collapsed just right behind the last starship of the fleet. Some say that the last starship was the Wayfinder Zone, but that is just one of many rumors and legends that are debated among the surviving populace. After humans and the various species that came with them arrived in the new galaxy, the Wayfinder perished. Her body unable to recover from the toll of protecting her followers from extra-dimensional horrors and locating the wormhole that would lead them all to safety. Upon her deathbed, the Wayfinder called for the boy she had adopted since she began her plan of leading the remaining virtuous humans and other species to a new beginning. This young boy would eventually become the first Wayfarer, who would go on to lead humanity and their allies to a new era. The Wayfinder told him to unite those who came with them and start building anew in the new galaxy they arrived in, which she said should be named Paradiso, an ancient term meaning paradise. Hi guys, thanks a lot for taking the time to listen to this long and boring intro for my up-and-coming podcast series, Legionary. I really hope you enjoyed listening to it because I really enjoyed putting it all together. If you want to hear what happens next and really find out about what a legionary is and what the story is all about, please don't hesitate to subscribe to my channel and hit that bell for notifications. If you also want to support my channel, and especially the Legionary Podcast, you'll find my PayPal, Patreon, and Gcash information in the description below. Natural Juan